The Wii U sold historically bad. The Switch is selling historically well. Many games on the Switch are ports of games from the Wii U. Make joke a million people told in 2017 that got old in 2018 about the situation. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a placeholder in my script. I'm not going to replace it. Here's what we're going to do for the rest of the video. Take a look at every Wii U game published by Nintendo that hasn't been ported to the Switch yet, and giving them a yes, no, or maybe as to whether or not they'll be ported to the Switch anytime soon. Ready? Let's go! First off, let's give an obvious no to Mario Maker, Splatoon, Smash Bros. For Wii U, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, and Paper Mario Color Splash. They all have sequels on Switch that are quintessentially the same experience, but better and or iterated a little differently. So it's almost like they're ports in spirit. Let's give a quick hell yes to Virtual Console games and the 3D Zelda remasters. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD are pretty safe bets, seeing as how Nintendo supposedly wants new Zelda releases every year now. And while the VC games would probably be delegated to an online library service like the NES and SNES games are, I'd still really like Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, DS, and Wii games on the Nintendo Switch. GameCube too, but the Wii U didn't have those. Let's give an easy no to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2014 and 16, as well as the Wii branded titles, Wii Party U, Wii Fit U, and Wii Sports Club. Games with years at the end of them aren't typically made to stand the test of time. Leave them in the past, I say. And while I wouldn't be opposed to the Switch getting a new me-centric party game or minigame compilation, Nintendo's been moving away from the Wii branding as of late, so I don't think it's likely they'd be making new games, let alone porting the older ones. Not to mention the controls would have to be reworked drastically, to the point where they'd probably almost be different experiences. Let's shrug a little yes for Dr. Luigi and Pushmo World. Budget eShop titles that provide fun little puzzles and little else. Really no reason not to drop them on the Switch sometime. I'm sure they'd sell better on the Switch than they did on Wii U, and they could make for easy release schedule fillers during a slow year. Let's give a reluctant no to Nintendo Land and Game & Wario. Both super solid party games. Nintendo Land in particular is a grand old time with friends that deserves a sequel, that sadly are far too reliant on the Wii U's unique features that the Switch just doesn't have. I get the feeling that WarioWare will get a game on the Switch soon, but Game & Wario just ain't it. Let's give a reserved but enthusiastic yes for Xenoblade Chronicles X and Fatal Frame 6 Maiden of the Black Water. Any gamepad gimmicks present could feasibly be reworked, and the Switch's wider install base would likely appreciate some more mature titles from Nintendo. Also, I'm not taking sides on the topic of censorship, something both of these games infamously got in their Western releases, but I get the feeling that Nintendo would forego the censorship should they re-release these games. And I'm sure the fans of these games would be very happy about it. Let's give a confused, no-leaning maybe to Amiibo Tap Nintendo's Best Bits and Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move. I personally am quite ambivalent toward both these titles. I downloaded them both when I had a Wii U, but barely ever played them. Probably because I've only got 2 Amiibo and neither of them are Mario themed, but I digress. If Nintendo feels like reinvigorating Amiibo interest and stock for some reason and re-release these, what we so generously refer to as games, then it's whatever, I guess. But if I were to make a solid prediction, I'd say that these 2 titles aren't getting ported anytime soon, if ever. And if Nintendo ever does want to capitalize on Amiibos more in the future, they'll just make a new, hopefully better game to utilize them. Though making the software itself free to download was a good idea. Kinda like what they're doing with Mario Kart Live Home Tour right now. In fact, if the Toys to Life genre has any hope of getting revitalized, I feel like this model makes a lot of sense. So in a way, these 2 games are kind of innovative on that front. I don't know, they'd be free, so maybe. Like I said, maybe. Let's give a resounding no to Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival and Mario Party 10. 2 very subpar party games, reliant on gimmicks that, even if they're viable on the Switch, aren't worth revisiting. Let's give a wholesome yes to Art Academy, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and Yoshi's Woolly World. While some may argue that Woolly World belongs in the no category along with Smash 4 and Splatoon 1, as Yoshi's Crafted World is already on the Switch, I think that Woolly World is different enough from Crafted World that a re-release isn't completely unwarranted. It's like saying we only need Metal Slug 4 on the Virtual Console and leave 1, 2, 3, X and all the others alone, because they're quintessentially the same experience. Just doesn't work that way in this case in particular. Though I suppose that could lead people to argue in favor of Paper Mario Color Splash, but really, who cares? It's Paper Mario Color Splash. As for Rainbow Curse and Art Academy, though they both would probably be best suited as handheld-only games due to their emphasis on touch controls, they wouldn't be the first games on the Switch to employ such a system. I think these cute little artsy B-tier Nintendo games qualify just fine for port eligibility. Let's give one final no to Star Fox Zero. I've seen plenty of people say that this game would probably even be better suited for the Switch than it was on Wii U, if not solely for the fact that they could quote-unquote fix the control scheme to make it feel more like traditional Star Fox. But I, for one, am of the opinion that, controls aside, the game itself, on a stylistic and narrative level, isn't worth its salt. If anything is to be done with this game on the Switch, I hope it's a Mario Tennis Aces situation, whereby they utilize its assets to create a much better sequel. And please, acknowledge the continuity up to Assault. Pretty please, I'm sick of 64 reboots. Let's give one final yes to NES Remix 1 and 2. One of my personal favorite games on the Wii U, and one whose identity is rooted in celebrating Nintendo's past, whose only utilization of the Wii U's features was Miiverse posting. I think these games could see new life on the Switch. A fresh new start may even lead Nintendo to making more remix titles in the future. The series has exponential room for growth, and kicking things off with a $30 or $40 port of the first two games isn't a bad way to kick it off. So that's that. 15 no's, 2 maybes, and 11.5 guesses later, I think we've determined just how thoroughly the Switch could make use of the Wii U's library before the Switch itself gets a successor. If the Switch has 3 or 4 years left in it before that day comes and this list proves to be an accurate reflection of the Wii U porting yet to come, then we can probably expect 3 or 4 Wii U ports, excluding the Virtual Console that I mentioned for some reason, every year from 2021 to 2024 or 5. But what do I know? You're the expert, right? Right? You did say you were an expert on the topic, didn't you? Ah, well, even if you aren't, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Have I mentioned liking, subscribing, and/or sharing yet? Oh well, I have now. Speaking of things I do at the end of my videos, it's time for... If you'd like to support my endeavors, as well as receive benefits like getting your name in the credits of my videos to being immortalized in your very own Talking Sock Sona, then consider pledging to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or as much as only $10 a month. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you the next time I see you.